We're going to be talking about working with transfer students or even our NFYS who come in with a lot of credits. Come on. There we go. As a reminder, the discussion is being recorded, so this will be made available for any of your colleagues who were unable to make it and are interested in this information. As with our last session, go ahead and please put your questions in the chat so we can answer them in real time or save to the end. And again, if you have questions about specific advising situations in your unit, you can reach out to us at advising@osu.edu and we'll work with you one-on-one. So here was another knowledge check item, checking on who is not eligible to change to the GEN. And most of you got this correct, that our current Ohio State students are not eligible to change to the GEN. So 91% of you got that correct. So the students who are on the GEN by default are, again, all new first-year students, NFYS, and our new transfer students who matriculate during or after autumn of 22. And this also includes a small population of our SASO students who are entering in summer of 22. What's being proposed to ULAC, and they'll be considering and voting on, is that students who are returning from leave of absence in autumn in 22 and beyond who've been away from the university for 2 or more years. This is a little bit different from how we've switched folks to new curricula in the past. And it's partly related to, again, the major curricula having changed with these embedded literacies, as well as over time, courses for an older curricula, whether major or the legacy GE, may start becoming less and less available as more students are on the newer curriculum. But there is still that opportunity for these students, again, to do this petition process that we've spoken about. So for students who can't revert to the legacy GE, we are looking to have this guarantee, this promise to our students that this implementation will not adversely affect their progress towards degree completion. So there is a process, a grievance process that we are recommending. That students would communicate concerns to their advisor, who can escalate the concern to their advising administrator, and then in consultation with the leadership of the college determines the final decision, which cannot be appealed. So the decision on what happens is with the college in these instances. So those of you who remember our no harm statement when we made the switch to semesters, that sort of informed the need to have something similar this time as well. There are some students who can't revert to the legacy GE, so what do we do with them? The academic units will still have a petition process to allow for curriculum accessions if they need to be made for edge cases. So for those students who are in programs where they have to be with the new GE, but they have a lot of these credits, the college still can make curriculum decisions for an individual student much in the way that they do now. So we are not taking away that ability of a college to do that. For those students who are bringing in extra credits, something to look at would be, do these credits match up with some of these other curriculum opportunities, such as minors, the global options, our certificates, second majors perhaps. So taking a look at their credits as a whole and kind of thinking through what are some ways that we can get this to help utilize those credits that they brought in a way that makes sense and that enhances what the student will be doing. So This especially we'll see potentially with our students who are taking a lot of College Credit Plus, because in those types of programs, they have an opportunity perhaps if they started fairly early in that kind of program to take some more advanced coursework, as opposed to our students who mostly are coming in with AP credits, where they have a lot of like lower level type stuff, 1000 level courses. Also for our transfer students who are in those programs where they'll be obligated to follow the current GE, they too may also have some higher level coursework that could be used in these ways as well. So it may take some creative thinking. You know, all of our minors, you can find their program sheets on the the College of Arts and Sciences website under their programs listings. You'll also find some of the certificates there as well. So the students who can petition to revert to the legacy GE, first of all, for sure, it's approved that students who have 30 or more credit hours completed, and this includes AP, International Baccalaureate, College Credit Plus, as well as the credits that our transfer students are bringing in. And our proposed kind of guidelines that we're having in there is that students have 70 to 75% of the legacy GE completed. The 70 to 75%, this again is because each GE and the legacy GE is very college specific. And so what may be 70 or 75% in one college may not be 70 or 75% in a different college. Departments can name a designee to process these petitions for our students who are in university exploration on the regional campuses. So those are some of the things that we still need to kind of think through in terms of developing this process. The guardrails, you know, again, there's still room for, I think, some discussion on that. If you've got some suggestions, please do let us know. Now, Shannon's developed kind of this nice little decision tree that you can look at and kind of help to think through. I'm going to look to the side now because it's bigger on my second screen. So for students who entered in the university in autumn of 22 or later, again, these are our NFYS and transfer students who are being defaulted to the GEN. Our current students who are on the GEL will have no ability to request the GEN. So if the answer is yes, they entered into the university autumn of 22 or later, then the next decision point is, does their current major plan allow for the petition to move back to the legacy GE? Again, not all programs will allow for that. So if no, then they're on the GEN. But if yes, then the next decision point is, did they come in with 30 or more hours? If no, they're on the GEN. But if yes, then is that student ready to start courses in their major or are eligible for early major admission? That might be then a case where it makes sense for the student to be considered for the legacy GE, particularly if they're hoping to graduate early. If the answer to that is no, are they considering an alternate major or parallel plan, especially one that would require the GEN? They're going to want to stick with the GEN. If no, they're still planning to go into that major that allows for the GEL, and there's unlikely to be any roadblocks to them entering that major, then they can be considered for the GEL. So this is just sort of kind of a way to think through how it might end up looking as you're kind of going through this, looking at the students for yourself, as well as when you're talking to the students in question. So in the knowledge check, the number of advisors who guessed that the students had, this graphic is what the percentage of advisors that guessed how many terms a student would have to petition to revert back to the GEL. The correct answer is 2 semesters. And so quite a few folks answered with 3 as opposed to the correct answer of 2. But if I had to guess, that's probably because the first bookend, the launch seminar, you do have 3 semesters to take that. So the 3 semesters versus 2 semesters might be where some folks got a little mixed up on that number. So again, students should work with their advisor to discuss this and submit a petition no later than the end of the 2nd semester of enrollment, not including summer for those students who started in the spring, for example. Especially those students who are looking to explore moving to the legacy programs they should delay taking that first bookend until their 2nd or 3rd term. So they've got that chance to really think through, because if they're not going to be, if they're going to end up doing the GEL, there's no need for them to be doing the bookend seminar. As we said in the last presentation, the move to the Legacy G also reverts to the Legacy major curriculum, unless that program has discontinued the Legacy curriculum. So this again is, as you're thinking of advising students, you want to kind of look at that whole picture, not just GE versus, GEL versus GEN. It's how does the rest of the curriculum look moving forward, and kind of that bigger picture kind of thing as you're working with your student. So some additional proposals we have out with the ULAC committee is that students who have completed the Ohio transfer module or an associate's degree can complete the GEL. Because remember, associate's degrees, the Associate of Arts and Associate of Science degree, the Ohio transfer module is intended to be a subset of university's curriculum and stuff like that. So those students who have at least Associate of Arts or Associate of Science may have quite a bit of our Legacy GE already complete, because those structures are very similar. So the students who are admitted in the 22-23 academic year and the students who are admitted in 23-24 academic year, that's what we've proposed, is that, again, that they will be allowed to petition to complete the GEL. But starting with the 2024 academic year, that would no longer be the case. So let me show you, because I know there were a lot of questions about how to think through this and what these look like. If you go on the advising site, hang on. Complete that. There we go. If you go on the advising.osu.edu page, where Shannon has under the advisor side the new GE information, there are some helpful things in there. Everything from a sheet that includes all the current approved new GE courses in a format similar to the GE sheets that maybe you've been used to. But there's also a form to help compare the GEL to GEN when working with students. And so I've been doing some comparisons of some students who were new students in autumn of 21 that came in with a lot of credits, just to see if this new GE had gone into place this past semester, what would it have looked like for them? So I want to show you this one particular student. Share my screen again. So this particular student was admitted as pre-early childhood ed. Oh, hang on, slideshow. That's what I'm doing. All right. And can we see my GE sheet, by the way?
You're good.
Okay, good. I didn't stop the slideshow before I stopped the share, and that made things funky. So this student is pre-early childhood education. She came in with 85 transfer credits and a completed associate's degree. But what's notable is her associate's degree was an associate of applied science in what appears to be a physical therapy assistant program. So half of her transfer credits easily were physical therapy tech credits. Okay. And so because it was an associate of applied science, she did still have quite a bit of GE courses. However, let me make this bigger here. So she has under the legacy GE, which is this left side, she has her English or writing component completed. She has the statistics. Now, she came in with Math 1148, 1149, and 1151 credit, but early childhood ed under the current GE requires for the GE Math 1125 and 1126. So if you look at her current degree audit, this is not complete, even though she has calculus. Similarly, that program will require the children's literature on the GE. Now, granted, she didn't have a literature anyway, so that would have been kind of a wash, but they do specify in that particular program. She has Music 2251, which is meeting her one of her global requirements, Psych 1100, and they are using Spanish 1101 as an open option on her degree audit. But they do not require language proficiency otherwise. That's why it's there. So she still has quite a few GE requirements that she needs to take. Her sciences, she EEOB 2510 has a lab. These were transfer credits, which is why everything adds up only to 9 hours. It looks like from her degree audit that EHE has waived that 10th hour and has considered her sciences complete with these 3 sciences. So 3 completely filled and 3 additional ones partially filled is what she has. Now, when you start looking at this side, she's got her writing and info lit with English 1110, math and quantitative reasoning done with the statistics, literary, visual, and performing arts with the music, social sciences with the psych, does not yet have a race, ethnicity, and gender diversity, nor historical cultural studies. But again, she would just need 1 here instead of the 2 over here. And then here I put both of these sciences in because while EEOB 2510 is the only one of her sciences that has a lab, since it was only 3 credits and the requirement does say 4 to 5, she's got the extra one. I just put both of them there. So here she's got 5 categories met. And what she needs overall for this GE is approximately 18 more hours. However, I am anticipating that as major requirements, she would still need the Math 1125 and 1126 and the children's literature class. So if that's the case, that's another 13 hours. That puts it at 31 hours there versus, let's see, how many was it here? I think it was like 27 or 28 that she would need over here on the old one. So in the end, to me, for this particular major, doesn't matter a whole lot which one she's on. It's pretty equal, all things considered. What we don't know yet is if any of her major courses would be able to overlap with these themes. I've not seen anything proposed out of education for these, but that doesn't mean that won't happen. Now, interestingly, let's say the same student decides, instead of early childhood ed, decides to be an English major. Now it kind of becomes a radically different conversation, because here, same student, now she's got her math done, because our arts and sciences would use the math 1148. Here, the Spanish 1101 is in language proficiency. She would need to get approval from the college to be done with 9 hours instead of 10. But she's got the distribution, she's got the lab. So 3 categories plus 2 partially filled. Up here then, again, the same amount of GE on this side. And she would need to complete the rest of the Spanish sequence for the College of Arts and Sciences. But what we have here is English has proposed quite a few of their courses to be themes courses. So we know she would have some opportunity to overlap here. So to me, with this major, there is a lot of benefit to the new GE being smaller, because English isn't going to require any courses that would overlap with the GE in those foundations areas. And she may have some opportunity here to overlap with the themes. Those physical therapy credits, they're only limited amount that can be counted towards the 121 degree hours in this college, but those are going to be limited in pretty much any degree she has, because some colleges allow for more electives, some have bigger majors, and that's the case here. So she would need some additional electives, and that's what this would give her. So she would have the opportunity to use some of those credits that she has to take here anyway, and be able to use that. So this is a student, if she went with this major, this is a student I would recommend probably to stay on the GEN with this major. With the education major, it really kind of would look like, I have not seen the curriculum for that major, nor have I advised on it. And so in that case, that would be a different conversation as to which one actually is more beneficial to the student. So let me show another example from autumn of 21, this time an NFYS. And I did see a question in the comment, or a statement in a comment, that for those large departments where you've got so many large numbers of students coming in through orientation. Again, we are not expecting you to do this at orientation. We are in fact recommending you don't. This is at the very least, that whole like worksheet kind of thing. That's why students are being given 2 semesters in which to make this decision and submit the petition and move back to GEL if they want. If you know they've got a lot of credits coming in and might be a candidate for them, don't have them take a launch seminar in the fall, so that you've got that time to start working with them on making the decision that's best for them. So I just don't see that, because you're correct, there's not really a good way to do a lot of these in the larger departments ahead of an orientation time, in addition to all the other work that you have to do. Making note of who is coming in with a lot of credits is probably going to be helpful. But some of those students, if your program allows for it, may be ready to proceed into major coursework anyway, and you can focus a little bit more on that if that seems appropriate for the person in the program. So let me share again this screen. Share screen. Screen 2. So this was a student who is NFYS, currently pre-neuroscience, because they're still taking some of the required courses for entry to the major. But they came in with 74 credit hours of transfer and AP. So they did a lot when they were in their program. And they also were actually a student who is from out of state. And so they wouldn't have known what our curriculum was necessarily anyway and been planning for it specifically. This is probably courses that just was available and made sense for them to challenge themselves when they're in high school. So this student came in with their writing done, came in with the Math 1151, which is what is required, the only math required for the BS in Arts and Sciences. Statistics is built in, and data analysis, GE, is built into the major for the Arts and Sciences BS. Didn't have any humanities, but they did have a lot of social sciences, including additional social sciences that aren't reflected here. They had the other econ class, for example. So they had their psych and soc, econ, geography 2400, which I've got this check mark in the wrong place. It's global. They came in with their language met already for arts and sciences. And then they took quite a bit of sciences as well, the entry-level sciences. So in this case, you know, as you kind of compare the two, they've got much more of the current, the legacy GE met. So if his goal is to graduate early, then the GEL may make more sense for him. But if instead they are pre-med, they're already actually in organic chemistry this semester, the first set. So if their goal is really to spend the 4 years and using some of the extra time to get research experience and all those additional things that students looking to go to med school are going to do, perhaps they have a 4-year scholarship, then for them it may not be necessarily all that different or a bad thing to be on the GE, the new GE, especially because, again, that health and well-being themes area really could kind of expand some of their ideas and opportunities and understanding of what it's those, you know, again, those health and wellness kind of ideas if you're going into a health profession in the first place. So there is some benefit to continuing on the themes beyond just a pure numbers, this more of this one's done, more not. But this is a student who could potentially, if they had come in, you know, if we'd had the GE and starting this past autumn, this was a student that maybe it would have made sense to petition to be on the legacy GE. But there are some reasons where the new one still could be beneficial to them if it's their time isn't really going to be affected either way. So I'm hoping some of these examples help you start to see how you could think through what are some of the pros and cons for those students that could be on it and what they might want to think through as far as how they can benefit from being on the new one. Again, if it's not going to change their long term. Again, for the students who are in a 4-year lockstep program, you know, having the entire legacy GE completed may not, it's not going to speed up their time to graduation. So what does the benefit of being on that versus being on the GEN do? Does it open up time for the extra majors and all that in that case, potentially? So, you know, your program's best. And so as you kind of get more comfortable with the GE and all that, I saw that Sarah had pointed out where you can find the blank versions of this sheet in the advising.osu.edu. So it's there if you want to try it out, or you can just know that it's there for when you do need it and you meet an actual student where it's going to make sense to have that conversation.